there. Hey guys, it's me, Skinny Queen Reacts. Welcome to the stream. Welcome to the stream, everybody. I have a special guest, RubyRuby, tonight. Say hello, Ruby.
Hello, hello there.
Yes. So tonight we also have a different kind of show tonight. We're gonna do a little Halloween special, a little spooky stuff. RubyRuby has worked in hospice and also the ER department. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
And she's gonna give us some stories too. Some you know, how should I say, close to little spooky, little things you can explain stories. So
Oh, yeah.
anyways, without further ado, let's go ahead. I'm going to say hello to the chat. Lady Nighthawk, Crab Apples, Travis, Susie Q, Layla Boo, Alizu, Laura, hello. Um, hello, everybody. Welcome in. Good to have you, Proud Witchy Mama. Hello, hello. Good to see you all. Hope you all have some snacks and you're comfortable. Linda Lou, hello. Also, we're going to get into, we're going to watch a video on Eloise. Eloise is a haunted asylum that is in Michigan. It's been closed down for decades now. But fun fact, my grandmother, and actually I found out tonight, well, I kind of knew, but my great grandmother also worked there. I wasn't sure if she did, so I called up my cousin and was like, "Hey." But yeah, so I've had two family members that used to work at Eloise. Um, it's real interesting and it's been known to be really haunted. So, um, Elizabeth said I was about to get Taco Bell because FFG keeps talking about it. Baja Blast, but I stopped myself. Oh, well, good for you, Lazu. That was a win. Being actually me and RubyRuby, we were actually talking about making real Mexican food, weren't we?
Yeah.
Earlier. She was telling me how she makes her pinto beans and how she makes her rice. And I'm like, yes, I'm gonna try it. So maybe I'll share with them if you don't mind. I'll share.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, totally.
I might do a little cooking video or something. uh,
I recommend it, especially the beans with the chorizo and the lard, salt to
yes,
taste,
yes.
heaven.
Yes, I should. I should make some rice and beans. That might, yes, absolutely. Elizu said Baja Blast, Mountain Dew, Powerade, and 7 Up mixture. That's how you make the Baja Blast. Now,
Oh,
I'm
wow.
not a Baja Blast fan. I know it. Some people you either love it. I don't. I prefer. Do you like Baja Blast, Ruby?
And no, I don't even go
Yeah,
near Mountain Dew.
yeah. I don't. I'm not a Baja Blast fan myself. So I guess it's one of those things you either like it or you don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Baja Blast has I guess like a citrus flavored Mountain Dew, the best way I can describe it. Hey QZ. No, no. I don't think it is Ilizu. I don't like the taste of it. There's just you either love it or you hate it. I I used to drink Mountain Dew. I like the regular, but I can't, yeah, it tears your stomach up though. Um, all right,
I'm like,
guys.
I'd
So,
rather just, I was just gonna say, if that's the case, I'd rather stick to like a Red Bull, a Monster, or a Celsius. Probably does
oh,
the
okay.
same thing.
Celsius. No, my son drinks that. That's like a yeah. So Mountain Dew is a pretty good caffeine boost. I would say it has probably more caffeine than Coke or Pepsi. That's for sure.
Well, the
But
Celsius actually has about 200 milligrams of caffeine.
yeah,
Um, So it's recommended to just like sip on it throughout a little while instead of just tugging it, because I used to do that.
Yeah.
And it was not, I didn't feel that great.
Oh, yeah. Now,
But
Alora likes Fago Moon Mist. Moon Mist is actually pretty good. If you, for those of you that don't know, Fago is a Michigan brand, but I think that other states do sell it now. Um, but Moon Mist is pretty close. It's pretty close. Oh, Camps can't do caffeine anymore for heart issues. I actually
yeah,
gotta watch the caffeine too. I don't have a bad heart, but I have that little what they call that extra electrical current, I guess, going on. So they said I can still have caffeine within reason. So
is it kind of like a VTAC rhythm?
yes, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep, I can't do large amounts. Yeah. Oh, Net Detective says I almost stopped yesterday to get that Baja Blast, but was coming from the eye doctor and couldn't see anything. Oh goodness. Wow.
oh my God.
Well, I mean, either I from what I've heard, you either love that Baja Blast or you don't. I don't. I don't like it at all. I don't know, it's just got a weird taste to me. It's just I've tried it in the past when I was younger and no. Oh, Hippieista just ordered the Thanksgiving meal. Nice. And it'll be prepped and in our freezer for Thanksgiving. Well, that's something. Hey, that's less of a worry when you already have it all set up like that. I know cooking Thanksgiving dinner is, trust me, I've done it some years now, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So, are you cooking Thanksgiving dinner, Ruby?
It depends on if I get called into work or not.
I I was I used to work at the hospital, so I understand that. No day like there is no day that you can't that there is no day that's off limits to a hospital worker. They'll call
No,
you.
we're 24/7. Yep,
Yep,
24/7, 365 days.
yep, and they will call you in. Like if an emergency goes down, they will call you into the hospital. Like say like I don't know, whatever. There was like a catastrophe or something. You're coming in instead of staying home because they need all
Yeah.
hands on deck. So yep, that's how that goes. Oh, it makes you shake, but you still drink it. That's funny. Well, not funny, but geez. I hope you're okay though. You don't want to get too much caffeine because it can actually have some undesirable effects if you get too much. Um, so, anyways, let's go ahead and get into. We're gonna review about the asylum, Eloise Asylum. And if you want to say anything, I'll pause on occasion. And if you want to say anything, just give me a holler, Ruby.
Yeah, sounds great.
Yes. All right, here we go.
Eloise Asylum.
Closed in 1984, the place has been a magnet for ghost hunters, and some people swear it's haunted.
Lobotomies, electroshock, so-called hydrotherapy performed on patients inside of this asylum. It would have been like torture.
We heard something scream from behind them, and the scream sounds like someone's in pain.
It's very creepy.
Very,
Very creepy in here. It is.
The shadow figures peeking around the corner. You walk into the room, they are going out of the room.
How many spirits are there here at Eloise Asylum?
Wow, that is cool. Whoa.
I've got a burning on my back.
That was creepy. That was.
Out! Wow.
Did somebody hurt you while you were here?
Was she laying on a mattress in there?
Yes.
Do they still have a mattress in there? Hopefully not from 1970s. I hope. Hey, here you are. Hello, welcome. Crab apples. Hello. Yes, happy early Halloween, everybody. I'm just doing the Halloween special today because, I'll be busy handing out candy to the kids. So, I wanted to say that also when this place was abandoned, back in the after it shut down in the 80s. Did they say the 80s? Yes, the early
Yeah.
80s. When it did shut down, um, I I was telling Ruby that there was a lot of high school kids that I used to know. They used to go and like roam inside, inside the I can't even talk tonight. Oh my goodness. They used to go to Eloise and walk around and like try to like mess around with stuff in there. Yes, a soiled hospital mattress from the 80s. That is really creepy. They might have just put that in there for show though, because they do. Well, I'm sure they did. It's like a haunted house now. They made it into.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, kids I used to go to school with and be friends with. They used to go and like sneak inside there and walk around. I never went because I was too scared and I didn't want to get in trouble. But yeah, very creepy. I've heard some stories about that too. So I definitely believe that it is haunted. Also, there are over 7,000 people buried there, and they're like all like unnamed burials, which is kind of sad. It's kind of sad that that happened, but yeah, they're buried on the land. So a lot has happened there. A lot.
Here, something
Does
just went
Eloise,
in this room.
sorry, does Eloise have
Insane.
tunnel system?
What was that?
I said, does Eloise have a tunnel system?
I don't remember. I think they do tell us though. Eloise was actually a city within a city. It was like a very small. They made everything available to the people in that area, like that were staying at Eloise, so that they wouldn't have to go outside the city to get anything. I guess they just wanted to keep them confined in a whole area because they called it a poorhouse. I guess back then that's what they called places, but then it became an asylum and a hospital, and they had a fire department, they had a bakery, they had all kinds of stuff there. So,
Yeah, it was a city in a city. You're right.
yeah. Oh, Laura said she thinks it did.
We are pulling out here and we are heading over just a few miles near Detroit to one of America's most haunted asylums.
Oh, I'm so ready for this.
I am so ready for this too. This place is legendary in the paranormal field with the amount of paranormal activity and the amount of things that have happened here, the amount of people who lost their lives. It is a bucket list location in the paranormal field.
It really is, man. I mean, we have been wanting to come here for a very, very long time. And the fact that we get to come here with those two.
I know. Huge shout out. We were invited to come and investigate this asylum by Cag and Allison of Adelaide Haunted Horizons. They are in the country, in the United States, and they said, come along with us to Eloise.
Oh, yeah.
So tonight we're going to take you along with us inside Eloise Psychiatric Hospital, one of the most haunted psychiatric hospitals in the United States of America. I think I see it up there. I think I see the top of it.
Oh, yeah, that is it.
Right up there.
Oh, my God.
And my bad. This video was actually from a channel called Paranormal Quest, and I'm gonna share the link in the description or in the side chat right now. So make sure you go check out Paranormal Quest. Yes. Hello, Dax Marshall. Welcome in, Queen of Awesome or Angel of Glass. Hello, welcome. It is, Linda Lou. There's a long history of at Eloise. There is a very long history.
Crazy. Wow.
This is just insane.
This place is massive.
Yeah, this is wild.
What do you think? Should we get out and go and see what Eloise has to offer?
Let's see what it has to offer. I think this is going to be a really good one.
Now I drive by it and have drove by this place on numerous occasions, and it is very creepy looking, especially in person.
Does
Maybe
it have
next
some sort
year.
of a feel?
Yes, like chills. You get chills up the back of your neck. Yeah, it does. You know how you get a sense that there's something sinister that happened?
Oh, yeah.
Or something, there's a presence. That's how it feels. Just driving by. But I might get, you never know, I might get the courage to go next Halloween, and maybe I'll take y'all with me.
Ooh,
Maybe.
that would be like, that's on my bucket list for sure. Just to go,
Maybe.
even if it's just a haunted house, I don't care. I would love to just go and stand and just feel what the vibes, the energy, just
Yes.
everything.
Angel
Yeah.
Glass said Ohio State Reformatory is where I live, is like that. Yes. Well, I would like to just, I guess it could be a bucket list for me too, just to get over the fear of going into somewhere that is truly haunted. It's one thing to go into a haunted house they put up for Halloween,
Hmm.
but it's another thing to go into a real haunted area, right?
Well,
And
I
just,
think a lot, I'm sorry.
oh no, go ahead.
I think that when you go to these places, you have to go in with a lot of respect, um, because there was so many people that, that passed and died in ways that uh, we can only imagine how
Right.
their suffering was. And for them to be buried in unknown graves, I would consider that kind of like a sacred land.
Yes,
Um,
it is.
but I don't think a lot of people see it that way. They're just fascinated by how many bodies are in the ground. They don't treat it like if it were a sacred land.
It's
And so
definitely a sacred burial ground. Yeah.
I think that's why there's so many manifestations because they're just treating it like some sort of an attraction. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's just my feeling.
No, what you're saying makes complete sense. And some of the ways that people may have lost their lives there might have everything to do with why it's still haunted to this day.
Yeah.
They say that some souls, don't, like Crabapple said, may they all find peace, but some may not be at peace, and maybe that's why they still linger. So very interesting, though.
Hmm.
This is going to be a good one. Let's go.
The name Eloise has unusual origins for a facility like this. It was named after Eloise Dickerson DeVock, the daughter of Detroit's postmaster. This innocent child's name would stand in contrast to what the facility would become. the largest psychiatric hospital in the United States of America.
So we are in the K. Beard building, or the D building. There was 78 buildings and 902 acres on the property, and there's 5 buildings left. This building was one of the main buildings. Everybody who came to Eloise had to come through those doors and get evaluated here, and then they would be distributed to where other buildings they needed to go.
Eloise was more than just a hospital. It was a sprawling city for the unwanted and forgotten. These people's journey at Eloise started in D building, the building we'll be investigating tonight. But the 77 other buildings provided more than just treatment for the mentally ill. It included the Eloise Infirmary, a poor farm for those who had nowhere else to live, and the Eloise Sanatorium, a tuberculosis hospital for those infected with one of the most deadly diseases in human history. Here at Eloise.
So that's where my grandmother and my great-grandmother worked, was on the tuberculosis ward. Too bad I didn't hear a whole lot of stories, because I didn't find out till I was a lot older that my grandmother worked there, and I should have asked her more. But I just find it very interesting now. I wish I could get those stories back. Yeah, all hospitals, I do believe, are haunted, because why? So many people pass in so many different ways. But I think some are more than others, and we will get into that a little bit later. Hey, the Grumpy Grandpa. The front building of Eloise has a little activity, but the back down back in this early 90s was way worse. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Well, the front,
The
wasn't
poor.
it administration, and the back was the asylum?
Yes. So there were different buildings with a different, you're right. So the front, I believe, was like the intake. And the back is where they done more of the probably medical procedures, if you will. And when we were talking earlier, remember, I think like some of them were done without anesthesia.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it wasn't, for one, it wasn't available like it is, all those meds. But
well, and they didn't treat people like people. They just treated them like subjects. They just treated them
like, so mental health had a huge stigma back then too. Like, they just looked at everybody as like, that didn't like act a certain way or didn't deal with things a certain way as just crazy, and wrote them off.
They didn't fit society.
A lot of these people were in war, and they seen things, and when we talk about that, it's like post-traumatic stress, right?
Yeah.
If you see all that and you don't have an outlet to deal with things like that, then it takes a mental toll. It doesn't mean that people should write you off, though. But back then, they just dealt with locking people away.
I think we also have. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, my bad.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, even menopausal women were locked away back then.
Yeah, so I was gonna go to that. So back then, they did not need any permission, or they didn't have to sign any documents. They could just go and put people in these mental asylums, even just if you were, exactly menopausal or hysterical. If you didn't fit in society, they could just drop you off. It didn't matter if you agreed with it or not. So they were able to just submit you to these places and forget about you.
Yeah, it was kind of like a prison. It was like a prison, and your only crime was not dealing with things well, right? sometimes.
being
I
a little
mean, I'm
different.
sure there were people there that had far worse issues, but yeah, if you had emotional issues, you were locked away. Yeah. Pretty scary, huh?
Oh yeah.
Because I feel like a lot of people that were in there probably didn't deserve to be in there either. Or it's things that could have been resolved like we do with today's, therapy, and maybe even, if you're low on vitamin D or B12, that can affect your mental health too. So
Yes,
some
it
of this
can.
might have been malnutrition, Yeah. And misbehavior called hysterical, yes. And the men could get remarried and not deal with the women left there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I think it was not until like 1970, I'm trying to remember, 1976 or 74. I could be wrong on the date, on the year, that um, one of our, I think it was Governor Reagan, signed a law stating that they weren't able to, submit or bring people in without their will.
Oh, well, thank God for that. I mean, so it was
I'm
passed
trying
in
to look.
1974.
Yeah, I think that's what that was a year. Let
So
me make
was
sure.
that also our president Reagan? Is that who did that?
Yes, yeah.
He was a governor at one time, yes.
Hmm.
Well, thank God for that, because, I mean, if that's the case, they were just dropping off people left and right they didn't want to deal with, right? And can
Yes.
you imagine, like, so I'm sure that some people were like gaslit to believe they were crazy too. Because if you got enough people like gaslighting you, it makes you crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can only imagine. Like, I'm just trying to like put myself in the scenarios back then. And
Okay,
like,
so here it is. So it was in the 70s that it was distant institutional policies of the 1970s. And that's where they were able to stop, um, yeah, people being submitted without their permission, and against their will.
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. But that was still a long time doing that,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it took quite a few, I mean, it took years for that to stop,
Even
because,
probably even 100 years for some, because some of these
oh
places
yeah.
have been around since the 1800s or more.
Yes, yeah. I mean, like you said, what happened back then? If a guy, the man, it was the man's word, he was the one in power. If he thought that, the child that you just had didn't look right, didn't seem right, didn't, nothing was right with it, with him or her, they would just go and take them to these places and go back home and have more kids.
Wow. And then that
And
had
same
to
with the
cause some
women.
mental issues with the mother, though.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, depression, anxiety, all these things. But again, it was the man who was in control back then, and it was basically what they said was what they did.
Wow. That's crazy.
The mentally ill and the fatally sick all lived in one complex.
Hello, Eloise. Welcome to the third floor. All right, so when you come up the stairs, on the right is going to be the surgical room. It's that in that spot on every floor. This door here is the hydrotherapy room. It's going to be in the same spot on every floor.
I got part of it, yeah. Not the whole thing, but
You just walk into that.
she just tripped over that.
You sound the way. We'll keep you.
Honestly,
Did you trip or were you pushed?
I was pushed.
That's the first incident.
First of
Yeah.
maybe multiple.
Okay, so here's the hydrotherapy area. The tub would be here on a platform. The patient would get in, they would put a cloth over the whole bathtub, and it would be hot water, cold water.
I mean, hydrotherapy don't sound bad, but I don't know what they were doing. Like, if they were putting them in like steaming hot water, then that's not good.
I think they were doing both.
Yeah. You know, when you hear hydrotherapy, but yeah, that's.
I think they were even doing that to children as well. From one of the videos I saw was there was a child that actually drowned in one of these tubs because
I heard that too.
negligence. Yeah.
Yeah. That is sad.
There was one patient that died, 2 patients that died during the hydrotherapy that we have records of. A gentleman turned the hot water on as hot as can be and fought off all the orderly and nurses.
Wow.
And he died of his burns.
Ugh.
And then Harmonia, I think Harmonia was 9 years old or 11 years old, forgive me. She was left unsupervised and she had a seizure. And so she passed away in the tub.
The hydrotherapy room is just one of many grave reminders of how little people running this hospital knew about mental illness, and how little society as a whole knew at that time. Because just down the hall is one of 3 identical rooms with a horrifying history.
So, surgical room, there's one on every single floor.
What type of surgeries would they do in here?
See, we don't have any proof on.
Okay, that's interesting though. She said there's a surgery room on every floor. Why? So that
Well, they
means
had
that
so many people.
I know. So that means that, but they were doing a lot of procedures, you know?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's for sure. I mean, I think they would pick several subjects from each room or from each floor and just kind of have at it. It sounds wrong, but I mean, that's literally how it was.
Hey, oranges, poranges, better late than never. Yeah, it sounds like they were doing a lot of experimental stuff. Mm-hmm. Sounds like it.
I think there's some places, I don't know if this place practiced those things, but I know that there was some places, like some prisons and some where they held like the criminal insane, that they were actually doing like experiments with vaccines, giving them like live viruses and stuff like that in order to get like the results or studies.
Yeah, like guinea
So
pigs.
yeah, exactly. Because they were, they were basically nothing to society. So what's one more person to inject, like the flu or and see what happens.
Wow. Wow.
But then
And you know
this
what's
place also
crazy
has.
is now
Go
that
ahead.
goes like because there was a lot of people, and still today there's a lot of innocent people locked up too that have been
Yes.
wrongly accused and wrongly, you know, they have charges against them that they just simply did not do, right? There are
Yeah.
innocent people out there that are locked up. That's just a fact. So can you imagine being innocent, being locked up, and then being used as a guinea pig on top of it? I can't.
Well, we
can't.
have to remember that back then, I mean, human rights weren't a thing. So anyone that they thought looked suspicious or anything was just thrown in jail. Like, oh, you think you did this? You're going to jail, and that was it.
Oh,
Especially if
here
they
you
were like
are said.
poor.
Here you are said they were at a former tuberculosis hospital that had a crazy amount of surgery rooms too.
Yeah. I think they were doing experiments with the lungs for the tuberculosis to try to find out what caused the tuberculosis. So they were doing
Hmm.
all kinds of crazy stuff to them, like pumping them with fluids, pumping them with like different solutions, smokes, like different things. It was crazy.
Hey Rudy, how are you? Colleen says one of my nieces is employed by our county as an attorney assigned to represent people involuntarily committed. Things have come a long way that the county actually provides representation. That's
Hmm.
good. That's very good. Yes, because back then it seems like and not to I'm not poor shaming, but a lot this people who lived in Eloise for the most part were lower income, and they I think they felt like because they didn't have a lot of money and they had to stay there that they felt like they could do what they wanted with them. Like they
Yes.
almost used them. You know what I mean? As a experience, because that's what they called it at first. They called it a poorhouse. Do you remember that
Hmm.
part of it? And then that's just not even okay. And then I feel like they like in order for people to stay there, they were allowed to do what they wanted to do with them. That's just how I feel. I'm not saying that's what happened, but I have this feeling they just did a lot of things that they shouldn't have done to people. Oranges said they used to institutionalize some women. Yeah, it was menopause. Menopause and PMS actually. There is a thing called PMDD, and it's really bad case of PMS. What is your take on that anyway? What do you think? Do you think they took advantage of people lower income that were staying there that didn't have anywhere to go, nowhere to turn? That's what I was trying to say. They had nowhere else to go, so they were allowed to stay there, but I feel like because they were allowed to stay there, they made them pay in other ways with like experiments and stuff.
I think they also made them do labor, like keep
The
keep the
city
crops
running.
going. Yeah, keep the city running like they had jobs. So they were basically paying for free, where they were working for free or for board, right? But they
Yeah,
were overworked. I mean, I don't think the conditions were very good.
no.
They just didn't have anywhere else to go or any opportunities. They were never given any opportunities to do anything else.
It was almost like human trafficking in a sense, you know?
Oh, I'm sure that that has a lot to do with it.
It was like,
And
but
it,
a city of using people for different things, right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it started as a very good, I think it started with a very good like intention. Unfortunately, it turned it just went the wrong way as soon as it started getting overpopulated, and you know, and with the mass, I mean, with more people comes more problems with, and they bring more things, they bring, you know, things spread around the community. So, I
Yes,
mean, especially if like there's so many people, they can't feed them, they can't clothe them, they
right.
can't do a lot of things.
Well, look at
Yeah,
Crabapple said, like, Whole Foods used prison labor for their meat processing, and they got found out.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that would be. Oh, yeah, that would be interesting. Now, I'm sure there were children there. Um, there were children there because one of them
Hmm.
passed. It'd be interesting to hear from any of the children that
There's
made it out.
actually, well, I don't know about them, but I mean, there is people who have um, from other insane asylums that are still that survived.
Yeah.
Obviously, they are not, um, they're disabled in some way because of the thing they did to them.
Uh,
I know there was, I don't know if she's still alive, but I know they did interview this lady who was in, I gotta remember which asylum that was, who had like a partial lobotomy. So she's part, you know, she's disabled, because they did a partial lobotomy, so they messed up part of her frontal lobe.
wow. That is crazy. That is crazy. I can't even imagine.
What the actual did. But each floor has this room. There was a major hospital right next door on either side of this building. So, and then the first floor is emergency wing also. So they had to do stuff here on the patients. I would think so. With having all the other hospitals, I mean, why have all these rooms?
Mm-hmm.
So, electric shock therapy, yes, I would say they would probably do them in these rooms. Lobotomy, since they didn't give them any anesthesia or anything like that. Hydrotherapy over there, so they could have done insulin shock therapy. They said that people with mental disabilities cannot feel pain.
Oh, no, no.
So they would do procedures without any pain medication.
That is so wrong. Can you imagine? They said people with mental disabilities could not feel pain. That is
Oh, I'm sure they did. I'm sure they did. They
barbaric.
just,
But they actually believed that. And let's just, I mean, we were talking earlier, and a lot of people have some form of mental illness these days, right?
yes,
It
yeah.
varies from it's a large scale. So from the lowest to the highest.
Hmm.
But most people do from the lowest to the highest. Because at least in my experience when I worked at the hospital and I would have patients, in almost every chart, there is something, whether it's small or large. And for them
Well,
to
now,
believe, they
yeah, go
believe
ahead.
that these people did not suffer pain. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
What was
I mean,
so
like I said,
strange?
they didn't really care. Again, they were just another. They were a thing. They were just considered a number,
Hmm.
like number so and so. Bring so and so in, and you know, or whoever they found. It's
Wow.
really sad. I'm not trying to laugh. I'm just like, it just boggles my mind how insane. Um,
No, and I understand, like, when you work in the healthcare field too, like, laughter is a big part of dealing with things, actually. People may not think that, but um, And I can see, like, when you have to cope with something in the medical field, sometimes I will say this, like, if you don't laugh, you cry. And that's how people
Yes,
that in the medical field deal with things. So, um, yeah, it's horrible, crab apples. It's horrible. Hey, Necesita said my grandmother had shock therapy for anxiety and said it saved her life. She had a very laissez-faire attitude. Well, some people
I
now, the mind is a powerful thing, and what we believe helps may help us, even if it really didn't have any neurological. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. The mind is a powerful thing, though.
I think electroshock therapy done the proper way is very effective. I know they still use it nowadays. Actually, some psychiatric doctors still use that procedure.
Miriam, my mom used to spend a lot of time at the hospital too. She used to joke around and say that was her second home too, or that was her vacation spot. Thank God hospitals have come a long way
Oh
since.
yeah,
Yes, yes.
I agree with that.
Yeah, people looking at medical workers think they're messed up, and it's like you have to have a sense of humor, or it makes it really hard to cope. Yes, like when you see nurses at a nurses station and they're laughing and you're irritated about it, just know they're not laughing at what they see. They're just coping for the night or the day because they see a lot, you know. They see a lot. So when nurses and techs and aides get together, you need to laugh a little bit because you see a lot. Yeah.
It's a tragic truth. Most people who were sent to Eloise Psychiatric Hospital left with more damage done to their mind. But some never left at all. And many people believe that these lost souls are still here to this day.
Many different activities here. The shadow figures peeking around the corner. You walk into the room, they are going out of the room or out of the area you're going in. So keep eye low. You'll see the twinkles. Doppelgangers have been reported.
When the doppelgangers happen, do they generally happen to the person that is seeing them, or is it to their friends, to someone who knows them?
A few of them have been me. They said they've seen me. But yeah, and then our security, and then another person. So it's people who work here, they see us, but like they'll see me with a hat on in this shirt, but I don't have a hat on. Okay, so now we are in solitary confinement.
What kind of patients would have been kept in solitary confinement?
The ones that could not be around other people. They did harm to themselves or other people and couldn't be over there.
Yes, doppelgangers. I was listening to that and it's kind of like, wow, that's startling. Have you ever heard of doppelgangers, Rudy?
Oh yes,
Ruby, I'm sorry, Ruby.
yes, they are considered a bad omen.
Yes, it's like seeing yourself.
Yeah, they say that if you see a doppelganger that, looks like you, it's basically coming to take you, or you're
Yes.
gonna pass soon enough.
Yeah,
And
that's pretty frightening. Yeah.
I
She
mean,
just said
seeing
that
someone that
like
looks like you,
she just said that like she wasn't worried at all. Yeah, I got a doppelganger in here, no big deal, nothing to see here, folks. Crazy.
I've heard, I haven't seen a doppelganger, maybe I haven't. I don't know. Um, maybe I did once, like for someone else. It looked like someone else, and they're like, "No, I was like way over there in the kitchen." And I'm like, "Are you sure? Because you were going into room 3." And they're like, "No." But I've also heard someone that sounds. I've heard my voice like coming from other like different places.
Oh,
So
at the
they're able to
hospital?
like, yeah, they're able to imitate not just your like the way you look, but also your voice.
Wow, that's startling. Mm. Well, thank God I've never seen two of me, and I don't think you guys want to. We won't punish you, okay? No, but I have been asked if I have a twin. I think everybody, though, has somebody that they may look like out here, but similar to. Hey, Graham Smurf. Hello. Happy Halloween to you, too. Happy early Halloween. I think it's on Tuesday this year, and
Yes.
it's supposed to be really cold here. It figures it was like in the 70s today, and then it's supposed to be freezing for Halloween. That's not nice for the kids. I think they should. I think they should. I don't know. It seems like it's always cold by the time Halloween gets here for us, anyway. Um, Hippie Ista studied doppelgangers in literature. Hey, Jessica Rizzo. People say my sister is my doppelganger. Only one of me is enough, that's for sure. I know that's right, Laura. I feel that way too.
With the size of them, we don't know. They could be 2 people in this room or 1, or they could have had maybe bunk beds. If if they had to be restrained, they could have put multiple people. We don't have like documented proof, like this person was in here for how long, we had 2 people in there. Please be very careful in solitary confinement if you are closing any doors that are still existing.
Ooh.
You like to close yourself.
Allison.
I knew that door was going to get stuck.
You can close, just don't fully close it at all.
Today, it's been proven that solitary confinement does more harm than good. The isolation becomes maddening, and it seems that these walls still remember that pain.
We heard something scream from behind them, and the scream sounds like someone's in pain. And it was loud, but none of them heard it. But we heard it clear as day. Our hair is standing up, and we're about to go, and they're like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "Didn't you hear that scream?" No one over there heard that scream. Those are the one things I hate.
It's very creepy.
Mhm.
Very, very creepy in here.
It is.
Adding to the confusion of this hospital building, the 3rd and 4th floors are identical, making it very easy to get lost.
Yeah, you do kind of have that feeling like you kind of forget what floor you're on if you didn't look at the actual signs above the doors, because everything looks exactly the same.
Yeah, and we don't have signs on every floor either. So you'd be like, what?
But the 5th floor is different, much smaller compared to all the floors below. This level of the hospital was used for a special type of patient.
Hello, gentlemen.
So this was men's up here on this floor?
Yep.
Gotcha. Any specific classification of men or?
Max security men.
Max security men?
Yeah. And it would be pretty much like mental illness and inmates both up here.
So it was a form of a prison in a way.
That is never a good combination.
No. So they had
Especially now.
max security and mental illness patients there. Ugh.
Yes. That is never a good, that's like a recipe for disaster.
Right.
And
Other
children.
asylums that we visit.
I wonder if, well, I'm sure they did have some. I haven't looked it up yet, but I'm wondering if there were some murders there too. I'm pretty sure there probably were.
Mhm.
Being a small city with all that mental illness and crime going on, or having max security prisoners there. Mm, I'm sure there were a few things happening.
Visited have classified areas like this as the criminally insane ward, a place where severe mentally ill men would find themselves after committing horrific crimes.
Hello, gentlemen. Here we are, solitary confinement.
Your own personal experiences. What would be the most outstanding experience paranormally?
When I first started here 2 years, almost 3 years ago, I came in for audition for the haunted house, and they were still working on the haunted house. It was still in the summer. So I'm like, well, hey, if you need help, I can help. And so I was down in the basement, and I was putting a fire protectant over the props we were doing. And it was an open hallway like this, and there's 2 circle things. And I just saw Head and Shoulders. It was all black, and I'm just how I'm seeing you. I saw that. A few days later, it kind of kicked in, and I didn't feel scared. It didn't feel like I didn't have to leave that spot or nothing like that. So I joined the paranormal team that week. And then as a site rep, what I'm doing now, we had a paranormal team here, and someone wasn't answering their walkie. So they're like, we can't find her. And I'm like, all right, I'll go look for her. Come with me. And we were running the halls, calling her name. And it was a surgical room on the 3rd floor. And I'm like, we're Kim. We came up the stairs and around. I saw, again, like, it was black, had a white face. I figured, white face. I'm like, oh, she's in here. They followed me. I turned to look. She wasn't in there. My eyes got so big because I just saw her. And I just went behind them, and they're like, what? What's wrong? And I'm like, it wasn't her. You guys are going to go ahead. I need to compose myself. We'll just keep walking till we find her. So those were the 2 shadow figures I have seen.
There's no doubt in our minds
Wow.
the history of Eloise.
That sounds creepy. And Jessica Rizzo said I'd rather be DEAD than in solitary confinement. Yes. So that's a whole nother, I mean, somebody can go absolutely just, you can put somebody in there that's kind of sane. I mean, if they're going to go in there, they probably have some issues, but, or done some stuff, but I mean, they'll completely lose their shit in there.
Oh yeah.
It's horrible.
Yes.
It's horrible. I would probably rather, if I had to pick that or the other, I don't want to be here if I have to be in solitary confinement. It's awful.
I would rather go to the basement than solitary confinement.
Yeah, it's not the things that I have heard about solitary confinement. And mind you, I mean, there are some people who definitely deserve to be there, right? They've committed the most heinous and evil crimes. But just for some of these people that were put in solitary confinement probably weren't, maybe they just, were acting in a mental state, and I don't know. It just, Angel Glass says my husband works in a prison. Oh, okay. Miriam says I'd love to go to a mental hospital to ghost hunt.
There has to be some definitely good stories, and from prisons as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm sure, I'm almost positive that a lot of prisons are probably haunted too. You know, because they have a lot of loss there and a lot of violent loss there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Eloise is nothing short of tragic. Victims of mental illness, tuberculosis, and of circumstance all gathered here, and over 7,200 of them are still buried here. If any place were to be haunted, it would definitely be Eloise. But how haunted is it? There's only one way to find out.
All right, so we are getting ready to start the first session here at Eloise Asylum. We are on the 3rd floor over in the maximum security solitary confinement wing. And right now, Allison is set up in one of the solitary cells on a bed. And she's going to be performing an Estes Method spirit box session, which is when she listens to the spirit box through headphones and then calls out what she hears. It's supposed to actually eliminate bias for what she actually hears. If there are responses that are intelligent and make sense, we'll play off of that. Dave's going to have ghost tube rolling to see if those responses match up, and CAG is going to be asking questions along with us. So this is going to be interesting. And as always, we're going to be recording that spirit box audio, so when a voice comes through, you're going to be hearing it right along with Allison. You ready, Dave?
I'm ready. Are you ladies ready?
We're ready.
All right.
As we get started with this Estes session, the camera battery in the solitary room with Allison dies. We aren't sure if the battery was drained or if the camera battery is just faulty, but it will take us a few minutes before we realize that the camera is shut off. Until then, we'll only have Allison's audio and the audio of the spirit box to know what responses she's receiving.
Oh, good.
Right there's CAG. Is Allison? Are you listening, Allison?
What? Yeah. Are we ready?
Yeah. Yes, I was asking if you were listening.
I think it just said they told you, but there you go.
Oh,
Speak.
speak. Peace. 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 Are you at peace?
Somebody just left.
Who's laughing? Can you come through the radio and tell us your name? We're all friendly. We're all here to be.
Either 6 or 6.
It said funny.
Play ball.
Oh, do you want to play ball?
Oh, I've got cold chills.
I thought
I don't know if I've got a ball in my kit. Oh, no, we have. We've got balls.
Yeah, I think I've got some right here too. Um,
I'm glad you've got balls.
I've got many. Here, I'm gonna roll this to you. If you want to play, you can try and pick it up and roll it back to me if you want. Can you try and push that back over here to us?
I'll tell you what, if something pushed a ball back at me, I'm getting the hell out of there. I'd be scared. I'm not gonna lie. What about you?
No, I would definitely say.
You would?
I would say.
I'd be scared. I'd probably be scared to leave by myself though. Like if the rest of the group was staying, I'd probably have to like white knuckle it because I'd be too scared to like leave out on my own. But hell.
I would put out all my equipment and start recording.
True. But you wouldn't be the little bit scared? A little bit?
I think
Scared or freaked out or
I think I've had many things happen to me that at this point I want to make sure that it's true.
oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense
Like,
though.
are you really trying to talk to me? Okay, let's do this.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And I
And
was
what?
gonna say, I've had some experiences like the lady with the shadows was showing exactly the same thing.
Well, I mean, let me tell you about my house though. So we've had activity in my house for a long time on and off. Haven't had a lot of activity lately, but the lady that used to live here, she actually jumped off the Ambassador Bridge, took her own life.
Oh,
Um, she had a daughter that ended up missing, I think the story was. Like either left with people because it was back in the early 60s. She thought she might
um,
have left with friends. You know how people used to, there were hippies, so
right,
they used to travel across country. She was a young teenager. She thinks she may have took off with some guys. Well, back then you didn't have cell phones. You didn't have, um, ways to communicate like we do now. So she never knew what really happened to her daughter, or she thought she might have got abducted, but she didn't know. She had no way of contacting her, right?
right.
It was too much for her to bear, and she just ended up doing that. So I think that that was one of the people. But when I also worked at the hospital, I also feel like I may have brought things home from there. They attached to,
Um,
right?
yes.
Um, nothing bad, nothing bad, except for one. There was just one that might have been a little bit, but the other ones were just kind of playful. And I would have like doors shut here, lights turn on, turn off. Um, my son had like a like Rubbermaid toy box downstairs that
Mhm.
like slid across the floor one day in the basement on its own. Um, so yeah, it used to creep me out, but I think I got used to it because it was my house.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything like extremely scary. My mom used to see, well, I had my friend saw a man in my house wearing overalls, and I had actually had a friend that passed away that used to wear those work overalls. So I'm like, well, maybe that was.
Um,
And I also had a psychic like in my house that he conversed through the psychic to me, um, giving me a message. So I'm like, yeah, that was probably him, right? But
mhm.
there was also a woman in our house that my mom had saw passing from our in the hallway. There's two rooms passing back and forth in the rooms. So I have been through a lot of stuff, but I think this place would scare me though, just because it's
Oh,
like, so, I mean, just looking at this at Eloise, it's scary looking, right? I think being out of my element and being inside this place, I think I would just really get scared, even though I've had experiences.
well, I think the energies in these places are very chaotic. Again,
Yeah,
we're going into these places to look for stuff. We're trying to stir up stuff that's, you know, that's there already in its own chaos. And here we come bringing our own energy and feeding basically like excitement, fear, um, you know, just all these things. And so we're just bringing this stuff up and causing even more chaos to what already was there.
right,
And this is not just, here. I mean, this happens anywhere you go. I mean, we are energy, And even after we die, that energy is still there. We don't, it doesn't go away. It just transforms into something else.
And it was a lot of tortured energy, so I
Yes.
think that's what is kind of, it's sad and it's also a little creepy to be, you know, in that space. Like you feel that tortured energy, if you will. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I've had stuff fall off angel glass. There's been stuff that have fallen off our walls a lot. And then um, there's been one day we were all in my kitchen and we heard like what sounded like a bunch of books just fall and collapse like on the floor. Like we thought, I don't know what we thought, but I went back in the back room and nothing had fell. It was weird. It sounded like a bunch of books fell on the floor.
Mhm.
Nothing. It was just weird. Just weird. I've had a lot of people witness stuff here too. I'm not the only one. Like a lot of my friends and well, my mom's no longer here, but yeah, my son and his friend when they were younger. Yep. It's
I
just
don't,
it's
I don't know the, I don't know the history of the current home that I live in, because I didn't really talk to any of the previous owners. Um, I do know, however, the history of like where my great grandmother um lived down in Mexico, and that house has a very rich history. Um, because there was, things happened back in the revolutionary time in Mexico and up in the mountains. Um, the they were called rebeldes, the rebels, would come and basically take, whatever belongings they had, gold, anything like that, and of course do harm to the women, um, and kidnap and stuff like that.
mm,
And so this house, um, according to the story that I was told, back in that time used to be a prison. And it was like a little small adobe prison that they used to have there. Um, and after the revolution, they closed it down, of course, um, and then they built a house out of it.
oh
And so I had several experiences there that I was like, I know people are gonna think I'm crazy. I even told my mom and some family members, and they were like, "No, you must have just been dreaming." Um, I heard, um, just to give you like some context of the house, there was like a long dining room. The living room was all the way at the end, and then the main door had like a little kitchen, and then on the side, it had like another little kitchen where they had like a wood stove, and that's where they would cook most of their food.
oh
And then there was like a room right in front of this the first little kitchen, and there was two beds there. So I was staying there helping with my grandmother at that time, um, because she was in hospice, and I slept in the next bed right next to her. And she was sleeping. The only thing I could hear was a concentrator. And here it is, 3 in the morning. I hear from the dining room walking to the little kitchen, the first little kitchen, some very heavy footsteps with um, like canes on the floor. And those like china cabinets? So my grandmother had one of those with a bunch of dishes in there, and that thing was vibrating. And I'm just like, I'm trying to like see if my grandmother hears anything of this. And she is like sleeping, not knowing that, she's not making any noise. And I'm like, okay, I literally just covered myself up and prayed and went back to sleep.
Oh yeah, that's scary. That would be scary.
Well, yeah,
Yep.
that's why I'm like, the crazy thing is like nobody else um, believed me back then. Um, that house now belongs to one of my great aunts who remodeled this house. And till this day, she still sees, hears, and feels um, a bunch of stuff in that house.
Wow. Yep. So thank you. Yes, thanks for sharing that story. Yes, that's ooh, eerie. So eerie, right?
I mean, yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like, I think the only thing I can think of is those very heavy footsteps with the chains that were. I think that's maybe like a prisoner that was, back in the revolutionary time, that was there, waiting for trial, or I don't know what was going on. Um, they've also said that there's like a treasure hidden somewhere in the ground.
Oh,
Do I believe that? I don't know. There's people that say that they've seen the ground glowing, and that's how they can tell that there's like a treasure buried because of the chemicals or the fumes that the money creates in the ground. It kind of looks
wow.
like a burning. Um, so there's been many people who have gone and like digging throughout the house. Um, they even brought
I
like
said
metal
we gotta find
detectors.
that treasure.
Well, there is, I mean, because again, in those parts of Mexico, people would rather dig their treasures than being taken by the revolutionary men that were, or the rebels, I'm sorry, that
Yeah, I bet
were
there's a
going
lot.
town to
Very,
town. Oh, they have found some.
yeah.
They have found like tubs where they would used to put the lard in. They have found tubs buried in the ground of
Wow.
like gold, gold coins.
Wow. That's
I mean, they
interesting.
got really creative. They even put them on the walls.
Wow. That is that's very interesting.
But they also say that there's only, so not everyone's going to find the treasure. Um, it's basically, it's whoever's meant to be, you know? So like, let's say if I go and dig for it and I'm not meant to find it, I'm not going to find anything. But let's say you
Yeah.
go and look for it and you're meant to find it, it's going to show up right away.
Wow. That would be so interesting though to find the treasure. Just even for the I mean, yeah, it's worth money, but also for like I mean the historical value. It'd just be really interesting to see what you could find, right?
Yeah, I mean, again, they were called centenarios. They were gold coins. Um,
Here you are, said your aunt needs a metal detector.
they have gone and they looked throughout the whole entire house before my aunt bought the house because the inheritance family when there's like over 10 kids there's always some stuff
Oh,
discrepancies there.
absolutely. There's always arguments when somebody passes over stuff. There is. I mean,
Um,
you can be tight, you can be close, and sometimes feelings still get, out of hand because of,
money.
inheritance, finance, money. Yeah.
Yeah, they, like I said, they've done a lot of digging. Prior to her buying this house, they did a lot of digging in several areas of the house where they would say that this could possibly be, like where the hauntings would have, happened. Um, and they didn't find absolutely anything. That the person that dug there was unable to find anything, but I think it was because he was a very greedy person. Just my personal
Travis,
opinion.
Travis said your home can receive a house blessing and weird things will stop and they'll tell you to stay away from any form of the occult. That's true. Like our house has been blessed more than once. We've had priests in here. Um, and not like an exorcism or anything, just a blessing. We've had, family, like a priest that was friends of the family came and blessed our house a couple of times. Um, but yeah, you know, but you're right. But when you're exposed and when you're sensitive to like the other side, I feel like you can bring things with you, right?
Oh yeah. I have to say that every time I go to work, when I go to work for hospice, before I leave the parking lot, I do this in my vehicle, so people don't think I'm crazy. Um, but in my vehicle, I say out loud, I please don't please don't follow me home. You are not welcome in my home. You need to follow the light. You need to follow your loved one who came for you. Um, you need to go where you belong. You are not
Yes,
welcome to come with me. You're not welcome to follow me.
yes.
And so far, I think I'm okay. I don't really hear or see anything here. There was a few uh, things that happened that were kind of weird, but I don't think they were related to my work. So that's good. I think that's related to other stuff going on that can be considered paranormal. Um, but every time something like that happens, I will pray.
Oh yeah, have done a lot of praying in the past. I have, like the one experience that I probably won't even get into real deeply but it was really scary. I actually think there was like a slightly evil presence here once, but it came and went as quick as it came. Thank God for that. And to this day, like I have I do have my grandmother's rosary, and she was a very religious person. I mean, extremely religious. And I just grabbed that thing and started praying, and I know whether you do or don't believe in prayer, it seemed to help me anyway. And I never had that experience again. So, but those experiences, yeah, they can be very scary. Um,
Um, yeah, I mean, I've had I've I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I should even get into the subject, but um, I know there is it's like generational stuff that kind of it kind of keeps with the newer or oncoming generations from things that happened in the past. Um,
oh,
I believe that I kind of have a little bit of that just because of um, some stuff that happened. Um, it's kind of like witchcraft stuff.
oh,
Um, and like in the I mean in a lot of cultures, of course they probably use this, but like in the Hispanic or Mexican cultures, um, there's like
yeah, I've heard of that for sure.
yeah, they practice it, some not all. Um, they practice certain things, and I was talking to my dad not too long ago because he came for a visit, and I was asking him because we found a book. Actually, we found 3 books in our yard that were buried. And in each book had they had a picture in them of some family members who were using these books to do things.
Mm.
And it was
And I
really weird
definitely
because,
believe, not to interrupt you, but I definitely believe it
yeah,
can invite bad things.
yeah, yeah. Well, these things, so they found it like in a corner of the backyard and it was, buried. And it was kind of like if you felt like somebody staring at you very intensely, like protecting the area. Um, and so my dad and one of my great uncles, they found these books. They went through them and they went to our local priest. And as soon as this priest saw these books, he started praying. He's like, no, 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 no,
Oh,
no, you need to get rid of these right away.
uh-oh.
Um, he's like, these are very bad. You need to get rid of them right away. I'm going to tell you how you need to do them, how you need to do it. There's a specific way. You can't just throw them away.
Oh, Lord.
Um, and let me tell you, these books
Kind of
were
like a
from,
possession of like a doll or something, like something that becomes possessed.
I think it was a little bit stronger than that because this was to invoke or to do, yeah, basically kind of like to um, pact things, like make a pact with certain things to get what,
Oh,
like work. Basically, it's kind of like an exchange thing.
oh.
If you do
Like
this for
selling your
me,
soul to the devil?
kind of, but to different, like demons or
Oh.
like different things from the underworld.
So, like asking for favors from the evil side in exchange for,
Right.
yeah, your
Or
soul,
yeah, for different
basically.
things. Um, and so he, so yeah, he grabbed, he had these books for a little while in the garage, and um, he was trying to figure out when and where to do them, when and when to like get rid of them. I was going to say these books had the date that they were printed. It was from 1827.
Wow.
And he said that our my great grandmother um, owned that book, and it was passed to um, her kids and their kids and so on until it
Did they
reached
know
my
why they
grandfather.
were they buried because of the evilness?
They were buried because they didn't want them to find out that they were doing this. So it was a form
Oh,
of protection for the books.
oh.
Yeah.
So what happened? How did they get rid of them?
So he said that he was told a specific ritual to where to do it, and it had to be in like like sacred ground, um, and it had to be in a specific time. And at first, he had like some holy water. He threw some holy water on them, and he says it literally sounded like it was sizzling.
Really? Are you serious?
Yes, no, I am not kidding. Um, and then he had a full, like 5-gallon jug of gasoline. Like he was prepared, right? And again, these are 3 books. Um, and he said he like drenched these things. He drenched them in gasoline and he started, he turned them on. And he said the first one burned fairly quickly. The second one took a little bit of time, but the oldest one, the one that was from 1827, that one took forever to burn. It literally, he said it looked like something was blowing on the pages to like try to turn off the fire
Oh, really?
as it was burning. Yes.
Wow.
And once that one, and he was afraid that it wasn't going to burn because it was taking forever. It was like burning page by page very slowly, like it didn't want to burn. And so it took a while for it to burn, but he managed to like get it, done. He said that when it finished burning, there was like this flock of birds that came out of nowhere and were circling where he was at. And they were just and he's like they don't know where they came. And he was all like these black birds just circling, like a mass of blackbirds just circling
Black
after this
birds?
book burned. Yeah, like ravens.
Oh, they came out of nowhere. Like,
They came out of nowhere and they just started circling.
that's odd.
And then once that was done, of course he did a prayer and they left. Um, the pictures that were in these books, he had to do a different ritual because these people um, that were doing things that were working with this black magic, basically, um, he had to do something else. And once he did this, whatever they had done completely stopped.
Oh, wow. That's
It's
crazy.
kind, it's I don't know if it's like similar to voodoo or these other um, things they use to cause harm to people. Um, but it's similar to something like that.
I
In Spanish,
forget the name of it, but like I used to have like friends of um so I had a couple of friends that were Cuban and they oh gosh, what was the I wish it was like a Spanish name that uh their aunt used to practice it and she had like dolls like
it's is it like Palomayomba?
or
Oh,
Santa
Santeria.
yes.
So Santeria and Brujeria are very similar. They're still praying to, certain things. Um, and
But
again, they're
not
doing,
dolls, but a statue and like a little
yes.
yeah, and then one of them was like kind of like not a doll, but it was like
Hmm.
a cloth thing, if that makes
Yeah.
sense, like a cloth doll kind of.
Yeah, so that's also called that's also called like brujeria. It's tied together. They kind of go hand in hand with each other. And they use different things. They'll make little things with the person who they wanna. So let's say I go to a santera. They're called santeras.
Yeah,
Um, I go to her and say, "Hey, you know what? My husband is doing this and this. I want you to um, do a work for me or do something to tie him to be with me and never leave me." And then the santera will say, "Okay, fine. Bring me certain items of his, and I'll start the process."
yeah, that's what it was.
And this is,
I
yeah, this
never
is
got
basically the
involved in
same
it, but
thing.
I just heard about it. I just heard about it.
And
They were
there's
telling
good
me
things
about it
about
too.
it. Yeah, there's good. I mean, there's people who do good, and there's people who work only for the bad.
Yeah,
And like the people that work for the good part of it, um, you'll know that they do like for good. because it will never ever charge you absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
And the ones that you go and ask for basically favors, they will definitely charge you. But let's say if that person is cured from whatever thing you try to do for to them, it's basically like a karma. It comes back to the person like 10 times worse.
Oh, really? Even if it's good?
Yeah. So if no, when it's bad.
Oh,
So when it's good, it's most likely trying to cure the person from somebody else's um, harm that they were trying to do to them.
oh, okay. So kind of like a witch doctor.
Yes, yeah.
So, but one, yeah. And then I also believe that, remember Chantal opened up the portal of the Ouija board? She never closed it. And some people
You're,
believe that
yeah.
she may be having experiences because of that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Now,
Um,
I do believe when you mess with a Ouija board, there can be um, because that's anything that you use. Like you can use anything to open up a pathway or whatever you
a
will call it
portal.
to the other side. Yeah, portal.
I think,
I had a bad experience with a Ouija
go
board
ahead.
when I was younger, and I'll never touch one again. Not for fun, not for anything.
Um,
I know,
I,
Dax. Well, even discussing paranormal and in general can actually um, bring things up, which I don't really do it all the time, so it's fine. But yeah, hey Zen, how are you? I feel like discussing things sometimes can like awaken things too. Do you believe that, Ruby?
yes, I definitely believe that. And let me tell you, I'm sorry, I kind of got super sidetracked with the story I
That's
was telling
okay.
you. When I was talking to my dad, after he told me all these details about the books and everything like that. He left, and I went on my day, playing in the kitchen, whatnot, and all of a sudden, my bag where that I take to work um, falls to the ground, um, and like everything kind of like spilled, like it was pushed with force. And there was right after we were talking about all this stuff, and I was like, I turned around and I was like, no, 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 no. I said, we are not playing this game today.
Right.
And I went over there and I picked up my stuff and I said, and I better not see this bag on the floor again. I don't know who I was talking to, but I was like, you are not touching my bag anymore.
Right. Or
So, I
just
mean, I
like some
don't,
people say, tell them. Um, I do believe that you have to like sometimes help people. Well, you working in hospice. As a matter of fact, this might be a good time to
yeah.
say, like, what was one of the experiences that would stand out in hospice to you the
Uh,
most, that kind of like was like, whoa, I can't believe that happened.
so one of the experience that happened, I'm gonna say maybe a few months back. It's not too, it's kind of recent. Um, uh, we had a patient pass away like around 11 a.m. And by that time we had a lot of people. We have a lot of admits coming in, Um, and this man, he didn't have any family that was going to come by and see him after, they passed. So normally what we do is, if nobody's coming to see them, we try to get there as fast as we can to do PM care, which is postmortem care.
Right. I've done that. I know all
Yeah.
about that.
It's giving them kind of like their last bath and
Yeah, you clean them up. If they happen to have any ports or any
yeah,
IVs, sometimes they do, even in hospice for like
fully.
therapeutic reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, so they have ports where the medication goes subcute, which is under the skin.
Yeah.
I know a lot of places do them differently or have different methods. Um, the place that I work in, they do them subcute, which is under the skin. And it only takes about 10-15 minutes for it to take effect. Um, so we remove those, we remove Foley's, we remove IVs, anything that they have, and then, give them a good bath and get them ready for the funeral home or wherever they have to go to get ready for their final, final transition, funeral,
Yeah.
burial, cremation, wherever. Um, so we went, they pass and we lower the temperature to at least 65 degrees to keep the body cool, to slow down the decomposition process. And so we didn't get to him, I believe, until it was close to 3:30. Um, and it was me and another coworker that went in because he was a fairly large gentleman, and it's basically dead weight to try to turn someone. So we
Oh
needed
yeah,
help
it
to
is.
hold him. Yeah, to clean like the back and stuff. And same thing when we're wrapping them. Um, so we came in and we started cleaning, doing everything. Um, and as we're getting ready to put on a gown before we do the wrapping, there the door, and mind me that the door is closed. Um, everything is off. We have a candle that we light up for everyone that passes away, for them to kind of follow the light wherever they have to go. Some places open windows. Um, so we're both clean, getting him ready, and all of a sudden, here comes this shadow walking through the door um, that stood right in front of his bed.
Whoa.
And me and my coworker are like, what the hell? Um, and we kept on talking to him like, if he was still here. Like, hey, Mr. Smith, um, we're just getting you ready, cleaning up so you can head out. And we normally do that
What did the
with
shadow look
everyone.
like?
It was just like it looked like a person, but there was no features. I mean, it was just like a shadow. Like there was
And
no
it was
features. It was
just
just
a
like
black shadow standing
it was
there?
just a black shadow standing there.
Hmm.
And he was just standing there, like in front, like by the bed of the foot of the bed. Um, and we noticed it. We looked at each other and we just continued to do what we were doing. And it wasn't until we said, don't worry, we're here. We're going to take good care of you. We've taken good care of you. You're now free to go wherever you need to go. Um, everything is going to be okay. We kind of like a reassuring thing. Um, that it literally just like it vanished,
Wow.
like out of nowhere. Like again, we looked at each other,
That's
and
powerful.
we couldn't believe our eyes. We could not believe our eyes. And we have cameras. in each room
Yeah.
that were put in during COVID, when COVID started, to kind of keep an
Yeah.
eye on people that had COVID and stuff like that. Um, and the nurses were saying that like when we were in there cleaning them up, there was like a malfunction in the cameras.
Wow.
They're like there was some interruption in the cameras. Like we don't know what happened.
Wow.
And we went out there and we're like, so this just happened. But we think it was him saying, thank you for taking care of me, you know, and then he left.
Wow, that's crazy. That
And
would I would have been a little bit freaked out, like with the shadow figure standing there. I'm not gonna lie. And
well,
that I might
it didn't
scream.
it didn't feel threatening, like where there, when you go to a place or you feel certain things, um, like when it feels threatening, you obviously your body starts reacting to something right away. This didn't feel that way. It felt like very, very friendly, like I mean no harm. Like if it was that person just, passing by, giving a good look, making sure that he was
Now,
being
was
well
this
taken
nighttime
care
or
of.
daytime?
This was around
Oh, you
3,
said
3:30,
3 o'clock.
4:30. Yeah.
Were the shades drawn in the room? Was it kind of dim in the room?
So we closed all the windows,
So
and
it was a little dark in there.
yes, yeah.
Okay. Because I was like, okay, so yeah, okay. So it wasn't like bright and then there was just this shadowy figure just standing over you.
No, it was a little dim. So like you could definitely tell the change in color because I mean you could
Oh
it's like,
yeah, I don't
yeah.
deny that. But what I'm saying is it wasn't so present that it might startle you right away.
No. Like it was just kind of like a casual thing, just just came in, stood there, and we didn't notice until like we turned.
Ugh.
Like how I don't know if you see, but sometimes like in the corner of your eye you think you see something. It was it was kind of like that, and then we turned and there was something there.
So when my mom passed and my dad came in the room, he was just sitting here. My mom had just passed. Or no, I'm sorry. It was right before she passed. It was a couple of hours before she passed. Probably not
Hmm.
even, like an hour before she passed. He came in here. The hospice nurse had just left, and my mom's friends were in the room with me, and he came to sat down, and he said that he felt my mom's hand rub across his back, kind of like because he started to cry, kind of like
Hmm.
it's gonna be okay. And he just said he felt like really, he knew it was her. He felt it. So I
Hmm.
just thought, wow, that was like something. And he still talks about it to this day sometimes. Like, he's like, remember when your mom, like touched my back when she was leaving? I was like, yeah. But yeah. So it is comforting, I think, and that was comforting to him at the time.
Yeah, I actually had another experience like that. But like what you're saying, I was taking care of this lady, um, and even though you don't really want to get attached to them, you kind of do a little bit based on, them
Can't
staying there
help
for a
but for
while.
some of them, you can't help it.
Yeah. And so I got to know her. I was talking to her and stuff like that, and she ended up coming back into the inpatient unit. But this time, she was non-responsive. Um, and I had already met her son and everything. Um, and within he was like, hey, so if she starts, if she turns, can you please give me a call so that I can come here and be with her when she transitions? And the nurses are like, yeah, of course, if we notice anything, especially like with the breathing, um, then we'll let you know because then it's getting closer. Um, and so she passed away around 9 p.m. and they had to go and they have to listen for 2 minutes, and then give, time of death. And by the time that the nurse called her son to let him know that unfortunately, she was unable to call him before, but she had already passed, he said, don't worry, she was here. She came and said bye. We felt
Oh
her
yeah,
presence.
I've had stories like that too. I know a story like that too. I don't know if you've ever watched Hospice Nurse Julie.
Mm-hmm.
That's who it was. She had a situation like that with a patient, but it was her who experienced
Mm-hmm.
a goodbye from the patient. She wasn't, she knew something about, I can't remember how the story went, but something about, I think that was the hospice, because there's more than one hospice nurse on YouTube.
Yeah.
And it went something like the patient let her know, came and visited her or something like that, or gave her a sign that they were gone.
Yeah.
And she said she felt like she couldn't tell the other coworkers at first because she didn't want people to think she was crazy, you know. But I do believe in
There,
that stuff.
yeah, there's always a little bit of stigma around talking about experiences like that because again, they're gonna think that you're a little crazy.
Yeah,
Um, it is hard to talk about stuff, unless you're talking to like other fellow coworkers and that you start, you kind of hear each other out, and that's kind of like a good let out, moment. You can confide in these people because they've experienced the same thing as you. But when you just come out to, let's say, like even family members or just friends, they'll definitely then they're gonna think you're a little crazy or you've been working in this field way too long, that now you're starting to see things.
yes, Dex. She was leaving in her car and she felt him let go. Yes, but he said, "Julie, I'm free and it's great." Something like that. It was similar to
Hmm.
that. Yep, that's
Um,
exactly
I've
what it was.
I've had, I don't know if it's like I'm gonna say it like a privilege. Um, I have been with patients in their last moments. Um, like, you see all the reactions in their body, their expressions, their facial expressions, um, as they're passing. Um, and I gotta say, like, it is really a privilege to see this, because until you see it, you really don't appreciate life. You see
Right.
like a pain expression, you see a comfort expression, and then, or like a pain,
And
scared.
everybody's different that passes. Like,
Yes.
I've been there for multiple. Let me just say this. I am so thankful that my mom seemed to have like one of the most peaceful, loving passings that I've ever seen. I'm not even saying that because she's my mom.
Hmm.
And I think it's because of hospice and being at home with people she loved. And
Yes.
I'm not even just I'm not even exaggerating, like, and she was also able to like just basically go to sleep
Hmm.
and go when she went, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah.
There was but I've seen people also. I seen a guy, and I'm not sure if he was just extremely scared
Mm-hmm.
when things went down, or if he seen something he didn't like. But I'll never forget the expression on his face. It looked like sheer terror, in my opinion. Um, and I
Yeah.
still see his face to this day because that's how I seen him go. Um, and then I seen a woman. Most of the people that I've seen, that was the only person I seen with that expression though.
Mm-hmm.
Like only one person the whole like 7 years I did it, right? He could have just been really scared at what was happening because
Yeah.
he was a code patient. Um, and I
Um,
wasn't in there when he first coded, so I don't know. I ran into the code after the fact.
right. So it
But
might have been like unexpected, like he wasn't ready
yeah,
to go. Yeah.
yeah. Um, but other than that, a lot of people that I've uh, witnessed have been relatively peaceful.
Yeah.
Um,
I yeah, I've seen a lot. Like I said, the way like the motions they go through as they're leaving is definitely very interesting. And like you said, it's different for everyone. Um, because he's yeah, like it's from like scaredness to at the end is it's most likely going to be like a peaceful um just I mean their whole demeanor changes of course when they're gone. Um, but uh, I was, like I said, I was very fortunate with this man because he had no family members. Um, and I was holding his hand, and as this is going on, um, I'm just holding his hand and praying and hoping that he has a good journey to wherever he has to go, and that he did not die alone. Um,
that was sweet. I did that for um my sister-in-law's uncle. I mean, of course she was there, my brother was there, his mom was there, but I was taking care of him. I was doing taking me and the hospice nurse handled things up until the very end.
mhm.
Um, I even sang to him because he just he was in a lot of pain at the end, so I wanted to kind of comfort him.
Yeah.
Um, but people may take this weird, but there is a beauty in death, and unless you've experienced that, it's hard to explain. So there can be beauty in somebody's passing.
There,
Uh,
I call
I don't
my
know how else to explain it, and unless you've worked in the field, that's hard to explain. But there can be it's like a sense of peace with somebody.
Yeah, so I always say, welcome. I always say that my job is like a revolving door. Um, because they come in and they leave, they come in alive and they leave, spiritually. And it's kind of like that all the time. It's always coming and going, coming and going, coming and going. The turnaround is very, very quick. One day we'll have, 10 people, and by second shift we'll have 5. So I always call it like it's literally like a revolving door. We're just helping them go in peace. And that's the main goal is for them to die or transition with dignity.
Yes.
Um, and our goal is zero pain, of course. But then again, it depends on what is going on with them as well. Um, and if we are able to accomplish that goal. So, but yeah, the main thing is of course dying, dying with dignity, and
Dax is
helping those
right.
with.
There are people that fight it till the very end. That's true.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Not every. That's why I said everyone is different. But I said for the most part, a lot of the people, especially because I have taken care of hospice people in the hospital too. Not many,
Hmm.
because you know how the hospital is. They pull you to different floors.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So like my home floor used to be med surge, but I would get pulled to like the med floor, which housed some hospice patients at times.
Hmm.
Because hospice can happen anywhere. It can happen in the hospital. Some people go into hospice while they're still a patient in the hospital. You can do it at home. They have hospice facilities. There's different ways to go through hospice. Um, so there's some that I did take care of in the hospital, but not a whole lot. Oh, this is crazy though. While we're talking about paranormal and hospice, I
Hmm.
had a patient and I sat with her family and I sat with her, and she was on hospice in the hospital. They decided to just go ahead and put her into hospice while in the hospital. So that means like we're not going to revive a patient in the hospital. It's just going to be comfort measures
Comfort care.
only,
Hmm.
meds, stop feeding, whatever they want, but just nothing extreme. No reviving. Um, but at any time though, they can change their mind. That's the thing. Um, but yeah, so I was in there with this guy. The two brothers were in there with the mother, and he actually was a paranormal investigator. And we got to talking. He even said he would come investigate my house, but I'm like, I don't want to rile things up here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was very tempting at the time to, because I was having issues at the time, like little things happening here and there.
Hmm.
But I was like, nah, I don't think so. Because I didn't want, like, we're talking, you don't want to rile things up, right?
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
like, nah, he said he would come and do it for free and everything. And I was like, I don't know about that. So, but anyway, so that was just odd. Like I sat there with a paranormal guy, and I was actually a sitter that night, like a patient sitter,
Hmm.
because she was confused and they needed a sitter for her. But yeah,
She was she preterming?
she wasn't that close yet.
Okay, okay.
No, she was just still confused. And yeah, she wasn't in that stage yet. But uh, Hippie used to said, I know everyone has different religious beliefs, but I'm glad I believe, because I feel death is hard for those who are left behind. The person who has passed is in the best place ever. I feel that too, Hippieista. I do. And I know everybody, I'm not trying to push a belief on it. We're not trying to push it. We're just sharing our
No,
story,
no.
our
Yeah.
experience here tonight. And what we say, you don't have to believe a word of it, but we're just sharing. That's all. We're not pushing anything. I'm not pushing an agenda or a religious belief on anybody. It's just stuff that myself and RubyRuby has been through. That's all. But yeah, I do. Um, and like it kind of brings me a comfort. Like some of the things bring me a comfort knowing that we have had these experiences, because it kind of like, because every once in a while I'll find myself wondering, where do we go? Do we go somewhere? Do we just go and the lights turn out and it's dark, when we pass? And And then I'll be reminded of things that I experienced or others have experienced. And it brings me peace, actually, to remember that. So, um, yeah, it is comforting. I think so. For some people, it might be scary. For others, I hope you find comfort in it. Because, like, it's very normal to have some fears and some hesitancy for the unknown, but it's also comforting knowing that there's also some beauty surrounded by it and some peace. So
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I'm reading the comment. I have to go into a complete dark construction site tonight. This may have not been a good idea for me, but I'm glad I'm here.
oh,
I'm sorry,
oranges.
I don't mean to laugh.
I'm sorry, oranges. Well,
I,
listen, let me say this. It's the people living that hurt you more than the people that have passed.
that
Unfortunately.
is, yeah, that is a complete true statement, I gotta say. Um, yes. Be more, my grandmother always told me, she said, she would say, Mijita, be afraid of the living, not of the dead. The dead won't do anything.
Yes,
So the people,
that's what my grandma and my mom used to say. You don't have to fear the dead, fear the living. They're the ones that could
yes,
hurt you the most. And I'm like, yeah, that's true. That's true.
yeah.
I think it's normal though to feel fear the unknown, and when we're watching spooky stuff, it gets our it hits
So,
us.
it does. It hits us differently, especially when, I mean, when you're gonna go and do certain things, like he's gonna go work in the start construction area. It definitely makes you think, like you become hyper alert to certain things.
Yes.
Um, I used to do that a lot, and then I learned to tone it down
Yeah.
because I was hearing and seeing certain things that I was like, okay, no, yeah, no, no, nope, not gonna do this tonight.
Right. And I think like
Uh,
just bringing yourself back to, if you do get scared, take some deep breaths, take some deep breaths and watch Chantel. Watch a funny clip. I don't know, that might scare you too though, but hey. I know that's right, Orange.
um,
We are the scariest animals on earth. That's true though
yes.
sometimes.
I was gonna say, so I'm trying to get my Day of the Dead offering ready for November 2nd. I have to print some pictures of some family members that have already passed so I can start building my table.
I
Um,
used to have a bunch of kits too, Day of the Dead from like Michael's.
mhm.
I because have you ever heard of those $5 like grab bags from Michael's when things go on clearance at the end of season?
Yes.
They put a bunch of stuff in a box, and I've done a couple of those openings on my other channel just for fun. Well, I got
Hmm.
a bunch of Day of the Dead stuff one year, like tons. I mean, oh my goodness. I wish I since have given it away, but if, yeah, it was a lot. Check. That's one thing. If you guys like, um, do you have Michaels in your area?
Yeah, yeah.
I would. There's a couple of channels on YouTube that do like couponing stuff. Oh, what's the freebie guy? The freebie guy, if you follow
Uh,
him on Instagram, he'll tell you
okay.
when that stuff goes on clearance. Follow the freebie guy. And
Okay,
he'll
I
tell,
will definitely do that.
yeah, because after, like, because the next $5 grab bags after this, like, like probably in spring will be the Halloween stuff and the Day of the Dead stuff. So, yep, I've
Yeah,
gotten there. I'm telling you.
yeah, so I'm starting to like gather all the pictures and stuff, and then I'm trying to figure out what like everybody liked to eat and drink to like put in the ofrenda, the offering. Um and then like candles and stuff like that. And like just, decorating the
Do
table
you do the
basically.
sugar skulls?
So I'm gonna try to find them. Because not a lot of places like the bakeries, unless you go to like a Mexican one, um, I don't know if they build like if they make them here or unless you like order them. They're pan de muerto, the bread of the dead. Um, yeah, I don't know if they do it unless you order it. So I would have to go and ask. Um, but I know like for example, like I know my grandmother, she loved her conchas. Which is like the bread with the like pink or white or chocolate thing on top, and her coffee on the side. So like I can offer that to her. Like my husband's grandfather, he used to drink like the large bottles of
So when you
beer.
offer them stuff, um, do you guys actually eat it yourselves then eventually, or how long do you leave it there for?
Um, so we put it out. Um, so we put it out on the first. We start putting everything out on the first, and then by the fourth, if the things, if the things are still good, we're able to eat from the ofrenda. But if things are not, of course, you just
Like
kind
if they're
of,
perishable, you just toss them.
yeah, you just toss them. Yeah. So the belief is that the spirit comes and, your loved one comes by and, you know, they eat the offerings that you put for them.
Oh, okay.
Um, so it's kind of like yeah, like they come and visit you that night, and then they leave by the morning.
Oh, well,
So
that's
they
nice.
pass the veil between the death and the living.
Okay. Wow.
And yeah, and there's said it's said that they use the flowers, what are they called? The marigolds to guide like their way. That's why those flowers are so popular in the Mexican culture for
Oh,
the Day of the Dead. Hmm.
I think those sugar skulls too are beautiful. Like,
Oh yeah, and the bread is delicious.
yeah. You know who might have that recipe is a channel called Views on the Road. I
Okay.
don't know if you've ever watched her, but she does a lot of Mexican recipes and also because she married a man, I think that was he was of Asian descent, so she makes some
Hmm.
Asian inspired and fusion dishes too. Yeah, Zen said I like her recipe. She's really good. Look her up. I'm telling you. Views on
Okay,
the Road.
yeah.
Her name's Stephanie. I actually like back when she first started, we used to like Instagram behind the scenes sometimes. Like she's real cool. She's real cool. Um, but she's got some really great recipes. So make sure you guys. In fact, if I have a mod in here, I'm not sure if I do. If you want to link her channel, go ahead.
Oh
Hippie
yeah, that would be great.
Hippieista. Can you link Views on the Road channel if you're still in here? Um, but
Let me
yeah,
see.
she's got some great recipe. I'm telling you, I've made a couple of them. She's really good. Her name's Stephanie, and her sister Cloud sometimes uh, will be on the channel with her. But yeah. So I don't want to keep you too long. You've been on with me a couple hours. For your first time, you've done amazing. Thank you so much.
No, thank you for having me. I'm very happy and glad.
Maybe
And
we'll
thank
get
every,
in. If you want to come back, if you ever want to come back and hang out, you're more than welcome.
yeah, I'll be honored. Just let me know. We can get together, we can chat about it later.
Absolutely.
But yeah, definitely.
It's been a pleasure to talk to you earlier today too as well, and thank you for sharing your tips with me. And if you ever want to message me, feel free.
Same
um
here.
I really appreciate you and sharing your experiences and hanging out. I know we didn't get through a lot of this video. I mean, we can always have a part 2 if you guys want. But I think we got the gist of what Eloise is and what it's about. So have a wonderful night, everybody. Again, thank you, RubyRuby. Thank you, chat. There's Hippie Easta with Views on the Road. Link, make sure you go check her out. And I think we're going to call it a night.
Yes, thank you so much once again for having me as a guest. And thank you everyone for for staying with us so late.
Yeah, it was
Really
fun.
appreciate you.
Thank you. All
And
right,
yes, a
guys.
part 2 would be wonderful.
We could do a part 2 one day soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see when Ruby's available. And have a wonderful night, everybody. Stay safe wherever you are, and we will talk to you real soon. Bye, guys.
Thank you so much, guys. Stay spooky.
Stay spooky. And stay skinny in the dark. Stay skinny in the dark.
Yes. Stay skinny in the dark.
Bye,
Good night.
guys.